All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Independent Podcast. My name's Fernando Garcia, your host, and I'm here with Ellis California Jones III. Just want to say thank you for coming. I always want to get started by asking, tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, where you grew up, and what got you to where what you're doing right now.
Well, without giving away your location,
Mm-hmm.
I grew up pretty much here.
Okay.
Am I looking there? I'm looking here.
Oh, you could do both. Either way, a little bit of both.
Yeah. Here, a bit, but I grew up actually right here. I grew up in City Heights. I was born in Balboa Hospital. Obviously, father was military. So for, I guess up until like second grade, first grade, I lived a little bit in Sierra Mesa.
Okay.
And then we moved to Murphy Canyon.
Yeah. And
then my parents split. Mom came here to City Heights. Dad stayed in Murphy Canyon. Once they split, he kind of kept, you're a military guy.
Yeah.
Might as well get as much money as you can, especially in the Navy. So he was jumping on those ships and going out to sea for months and just pretty much stacking his bread. And he was helping out and everything. Yeah. But we were with my mom in City Heights. So literally, I'm looking out your window right now. I love being here.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I grew up here. I love it here. Yeah. Fairmont Avenue. But literally maybe 4 blocks away from here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Nice. It's on 44th and University.
Okay.
So maybe 5-6 blocks.
Yeah.
But a quick bike ride.
Yeah.
So I grew up right here, went to all the schools in the area, went to Hoover. Yeah.
How was your experience at Hoover?
Oh, well. Before Hoover, I went to Clark.
Okay.
Right. And Clark was a new school that was built in right over there on Thorn.
Okay. Yeah.
Little by Home Avenue, City Heights. I went to Clark. It was a brand new building, brand new school. We kind of broke it in from 6th to 8th grade. And a lot of guys and a lot of people from there just kind of, it was like a feeder pattern.
Okay.
Went to Hoover. A lot of my friends went to Mission Bay, Helix, Crawford, Kearney High, Point Loma. They got bussed out, but me, myself, I went to Hoover. My brother went to Hoover.
Yeah.
So he actually went to Sarah High School, which is now Canyon Hills.
Okay. Yeah.
But then his last 2 years, he went to Hoover as well. So I followed him as well. And it was cool, man. Yeah. Hoover was, it's just like City Heights. You got everything, you know, and you have a lot of Hispanics, a lot of Blacks, it's a lot of Asians, Cambodians, Laos, Filipino, Pacific Islanders. It's just it is a melting pot.
Yeah.
And so, and like I was saying earlier, it's not too many, the crazy thing is not too many white people that live in City Heights and go to Hoover. So they were actually the minority, but Hoover was lovely. Wasn't the best student because I was just more focused on football.
Yeah.
But I actually did participate in ASB, was in Treasury and all of that, and played football there. Ultimately got a scholarship to San Jose State.
Nice.
Went there after. So
I was the same way. Football, ASB, that was my life in high school. How was your transition from going away to college, going to San Jose? How was that?
Well,
was that difficult? I mean, because you're kind of like starting off new, it was difficult for me.
To be honest, I remember I was at my friend's house. We had cut school.
Yeah.
I was a senior in high school. I was trying to walk. I couldn't even walk. I was going to graduate, but I had so many absences and that's a whole nother thing with school. And I just felt like I wasn't being challenged enough and everything. The school situation is different, especially for like boys, young men, young boys who they say ADHD and all of that. But I think it's we just have so much energy that we need different type of outlets, outside of the classroom. But with that said, it was just one of those times when it's a lot of young men that go through that and they don't really know what they're going to do. And my relationship with the coaches at my high school in football were not good. They kind of came in. We didn't have the best relationship.
Yeah.
I didn't think that the school supported us as much. So it was real rocky. We didn't have any type of help, any type of like college prep.
Yeah.
There wasn't anybody actually looking out for us, like, as far as like student athletes and trying to get us scholarships and everything. But I had a coach who used to work for me, Coach Rolando, ended up going to Mission Bay, very entrenched in the community.
Yeah.
He was with the scout who was the guy who went to San Diego State.
Okay.
He was with him, and he just off chance told him, like, man, they got this receiver number 9 in Hoover. And I was with my friends at their house. We had cut school, and I just got a call on my cell phone. And I'm like, who's this? He was like, hey, this is Coach Williams. I'm like, who's Coach Williams?
Yeah.
He was like, I'm with San Jose State. You ready to play football? And
nice
I
call.
was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And from there, they came to my house. And actually, the coach who recruited me at San Jose State was actually one of the first Black head coaches in college football.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was a doctor. His name was Dr. I can't believe his name is Dr. Fitzhill.
Okay.
Yeah, and he and the recruiter is 2 Black men, 2 persons of color. They came to my dad. We live right there on Winona Avenue.
Okay, yeah.
And they came in the house and was like, hey, we want your son to play for us, man.
Nice.
It was a crazy moment.
Yeah.
And from there, I flew out to San Jose and, did the recruiting trip. And I committed.
Nice.
Yeah, I committed and I went to college. It was crazy.
Nice. So what got you into, so obviously you're running for city council in District 3.
Yes.
What got you to the point of putting your name on the ballot? Because there's a lot of people who talk politics and can talk all day, but there's something different about somebody who says, you know what, I'm going to run, I'm going to put myself out there, and I'm going to put my name on that ballot. Very few people do that. What made you want to do that?
It's always, to me, it's the small things, but they were drilling late at night. And I was with my girlfriend. My girlfriend, she's from Cincinnati.
Okay.
And she's suburb area, didn't grow up like I did. The way I grew up in City Heights, helicopters flying around, gunshots, car crashes into houses, and all kind of crazy things going on, music playing. It really didn't bother me.
So you're used to sounds at night.
I'm used to sounds at night.
Yeah.
I'm used to hearing police sirens and things, but she wasn't.
Right.
And so, obviously when your girl's not in the best mood, you're not going to be in the best mood. So like ultimately they were drilling one night and I just was like, I looked at the truck.
Yeah.
I got on the phone and I called the construction dude.
Yeah.
I called K Construction.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is I called, I'm like, yes, I want to speak to the owner.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're talking to him.
Yeah.
And it's like 3 a.m, mind you.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And I have a business as well. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm talking to the owner. It's probably a small business. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, man, why are you guys drilling out there? He's like, dude, you think I want my guys out there drilling at night? You need to go talk to the mayor.
Yeah.
They're the ones who makes the decisions. They don't want us drilling in the day. They want us drilling at night. And I'm like, what? So I started researching. I know about the mayor and everything. I vote but didn't know the intricacies of the whole like city council and things like that. So I looked it up. Obviously, it's not the mayor. It was a city council member. I looked him up.
Yeah.
Seen a picture of him.
Yeah.
And I'm from San Diego. I just never seen him, never heard of him. Ty Gloria, we've all seen him and heard of him. You know, this guy, I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Seen how many votes he had. I was like, okay. Seen he ran against another Democrat. I'm like, okay. And I started looking into him. And I started asking around, started asking my friends, my dad, the homies. Does anybody know this guy?
Yeah.
Business owners. You know, I worked with Bird Scooters. I had a scooter business that went all around my district and San Diego.
Yeah.
And I communicated with businesses as well. And so I just never seen this guy, never heard of him, and that really was one thing. But I reached out to him and their office just was the communication was terrible. And that's what kind of got me thinking, like, who's voting for these, like for these guys, who's voting for them? How does that work?
Yeah.
But ultimately I seen an email and it was from the Republican Party, and they said, "Are you looking to run or whatever?" Yeah. And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I'm looking to run." So I put in my endorsement. Didn't get any response. I'm gonna be honest. Didn't get any response or nothing.
Yeah.
But even that was like, well, since they're not responding, I don't need the party or anything.
Right.
I'm finna go look this up myself. And I looked it up myself, and here I am.
Nice.
Filed the I don't know the names by heart, but I filed the first one in February of this year. I think it's the 410.
Yeah.
And then I filed the 470 or something.
460,
got a 460 or whatever. And I filed them. You know, and even the one with the Secretary of State, at first I did it myself, didn't pay anybody. I filed that like 6 sometimes. I had to call them like, man, what is going on? Look, Mr. Jones, we just, and I'm like, oh, okay. So, went through that whole process. But and now I'm here on the ballot. It's a struggle, you know, and there's some barriers of entry that we need to get rid of.
Yeah. Let me ask you what makes you choose the Republican Party over other parties? Why do you consider yourself a Republican?
Well, it's a story, obviously. So we skipped over a very important part. When I went to college, played there for a couple years, ultimately got into trouble, got arrested, ultimately got convicted of armed robbery, conspiracies, ended up going to prison. During that whole process, I became aware of the system and the Constitution, and obviously I went to trial as my own lawyer.
Okay.
And so I had to, really learn about all the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and everything, but also just the laws in the state of California. And so after going through that process, I pretty much was able to speak up for myself in a different way. Before, when I was young, I was kind of angry and just acting out, and trying to go to other people to try to solve problems for me.
Sure.
And now, after going through that whole process, that was how I was able to pretty much learn how to navigate some of these, navigate the system is what I call it.
Yeah.
But the reason I chose the Republican Party, and I can walk you through it, but while I was fighting my case and I was studying law, there was a whole movement going on in the late 2000s, and it's the sovereignty movement. What the Tea Party is. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Familiar with the Tea Party,
Your name is being taken by the government takes your birth certificate, they take out the treasury bond or some things like that, right?
Yeah.
On the fringe elements of like the right.
Correct.
And so, but me being, my own lawyer at the time and through trial, any type of information, especially when it pertains to law and you're trying to get your freedom, I'm not going to pass up. So I went, looking through that, and even did a deep dive into it because it was so interesting to learn about the foundation of what our law is on, which is there is truth to it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's a con or a conspiracy or even a scam, but there has been elements of the sovereignty movement where I have seen scams and cons and conspiracies. And I think it's important for especially Republicans to stand up to some of the fringe elements of the conservative party.
Yeah.
And I'm skipping over it, but that's, but that's one of the reasons why the Republican Party is because, in my opinion, out of the two parties, they have a tradition of fighting for freedoms. Now, the people who have actually been in those parties, especially of late, have not followed in that tradition.
Okay.
They've been following in the tradition of special interest.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? But it's like the young guy coming into the locker room and it's like cleaning shit up.
Yeah.
But the young guy got to be able to play.
Right.
So that's why I'm trying to show him hey, I could throw this football around a little bit, let's get busy, but clean this shit up. Get this out of here. Let's, this guy got to go. He can't be on the team. He's not with us. You know, we have to step up, and I say check, some of these negative elements wherever we are. And I say that even for the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
And I talk to Democrats a lot. I'm running in a district that is heavily Democrat, it's heavily liberal.
Yeah.
And I tell them I can't even I'd be hypocritical to really, demean that party because it is because of that party, especially in this state, that I'm even able to run and to vote today.
Yeah.
I'm an ex-felon.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people say the Republican Party lacks empathy. That's why we probably need more emphatic people in the Republican Party. We need more women in the Republican Party, but we also need more people on the Democrat side, and we also need that middle element, independence. These other things that bring we take a lot of you guys' ideas. We like them. Keep them coming.
Now, one of the things, because I get this, I'm an independent, and I meet people who will say things like, based off the color of my skin, I should be a Democrat.
Oh yeah.
Do you get that?
Yeah.
Do you? I mean, where
all
people,
the time.
Yeah.
And it's like those people are, and I said something kind of like that to you when we was in there, but it was like you look like a Republican, you know what I mean? And so people get into that. I say kind of like sports teams, you know, and I think people kind of cling to that instead of what is actually going on in the party.
Yeah.
You know, but to that, I usually say, like, my father and my grandfather from Mississippi, you know, and they're like Republicans.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like there's different elements. Even if you go back into history, there's always been Black Republicans.
Yeah.
There's always been Hispanic Republicans, you know, so but people don't really know that history.
Yeah.
And so the hardcore people like that, I just argue with them.
Yeah. I think
Facebook, my aunties and stuff are like that. We've gotten into, before I get on Twitter or before I say anything about Stephen Whitburn or whoever it is, I've argued with my own family members and my own aunties about this, you know, but this is how much it matters to us, like, as Americans.
Yeah.
So people take it personal on X, Twitter, and all that. I'm like, dude, my auntie's actually doing better with the points than you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so people take it personal, man, with politics too.
What are there leaders, whether political leaders, social leaders, that you kind of would like to mirror or look up to, whether now or in the past, that that you really admire? I mean, is there anybody that comes to mind that you really like?
It's to be like, in today's age, with my girl says the veil has been removed, right? And I don't know if that's since 2020 or whatever, but there's some truth to it, because in this age, so many of our leaders things are coming up about them that they placed in front of us, you know? And so it's hard to really admire some of these people, like even like Trump, for instance, right? Who I had supported, in the past. I was speaking to a woman at a summit. I was speaking to. I guess I won't speak on it too much, but I was speaking to this woman at this event, and she told me a story about Donald Trump. You know, that she knew personally about him.
Yeah,
and it wasn't like what you would think, but just the disrespect was I felt it from her, you know. And so sometimes you have to meet people. I've never met some of these people, so it's starting to get hard to endorse some of these people that I've never met. And I'm gonna stop speaking up for people that I have not met in person, and speaking against them too hard, because it's so with that said, like, you could even throwing out people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, you know, you hear all these things about them, and then you hear even Tupac, whatever.
Right?
You hear things about them, but then you hear the counter of it. And people adopt. And that's another reason why I want to run locally, because we need to start having more local heroes that we actually meet. Like, you could love or hate Todd Gloria, but a lot of people meet him. And that's why, like, when I go to people and I talk to them and they don't even like him, but you know, they know him. You see what I'm saying? And so it's even harder to be like, you're disappointed. That's people like, I'm disappointed in Todd. And so, but it needs to be more like that. Like guys like Trump and Biden and all these people we don't know. We see videos of them one way, they're doing this, the next day they're doing something else.
Yeah.
We have to stop. We have to start being more focused on our local leaders. And I can't even think of any local leaders, and that's sad because we've been so focused on all these.
The Trumps and the big names, the
JFK. I don't know. JFK. Then I start seeing things about him. I'm like, God damn it.
Right.
So we don't know these guys. We need to support local leaders and stuff. There should be somebody here where we're like, oh, that. But some of the older crowd, they understand and they remember some of those older leaders back then.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I had any in my generation.
Yeah. What have you learned, or what has anything surprised you running for city council that you didn't maybe know before, that or anything you'd want to shine light on that you've maybe found out about?
Well, as far as the process of running for city council, it was the same thing when I was going through the whole law system and learning about that. But again, it's so right in front of your face, but hidden. Yeah. And so like the whole process.
Yeah.
And I think it's like information asymmetry. It's there, not there's people, the information is there, but certain people have it and they kind of like, I don't want to say it's by design, but it's being held from the people. But it doesn't. So I guess what has surprised me is how easy it is to at least put yourself on the field to affect change.
Yeah.
It's that surprised me.
Okay.
Like I can do this. I can run.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
What?
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, it's kind of the getting on the team is easy, but then getting playing time, getting on the field, you have that.
Exactly.
What I would say, what we might call the coaches, but are really the infrastructure, the parties, or the
Facts.
The influential people that are saying, we're gonna put you on the bench unless we need.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of my experience. You're right. I mean, hey, if you're able to get some signatures, you got a couple $100, you can put your name on, and go from there. But it's getting people to know you. I mean, I know the endorsement process. A lot of people, they don't really almost care about your ideas. They just want to go, how much money can you raise?
Yep.
So you could have the greatest ideas, but if you can't sometimes tell people, well, this is how much money I'm going to raise, the powers that be sometimes, unfortunate, and this is unfortunate, I think it's wrong, try to not support you or don't give you any support.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you felt that at all.
No, yeah, it's completely like that.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that I think the illusion is that money is the only way.
Yeah.
That's the illusion.
Yeah.
But to me, I look at it when people talk like that, because it was kind of intimidating, and they'll bring you out to nice places and stuff. And then they'll be like, you need to make this much money. But I was at this meeting today, right? Or yesterday night. And the brother was talking about this men's fellowship. And the brother was saying that a lot of people everybody knows how to spend money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He said, you can teach a monkey how to spend money.
Right.
And I was like, I probably can teach a cat how to take money here.
Yeah.
Just give it to that person. Just give it to them. Go ahead. That's it. That's it. It is very easy to spend money.
Yeah.
But it's hard to manage money,
Yeah.
And so that right there, when I see the people, I'm like, okay, these are all football. Everything's football to me. That's what my girl says. Everything's football to you.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And so, but I just see people who don't even play football telling me how to play football.
Yeah.
You don't know, like Deion Sanders, right? They're losing right now, right? But every single kid, what can you say to him? He plays football.
Yeah.
He might be wrong in certain aspects and things like that, but a lot of times he's going to be right because he actually played football very good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now it's just he's older now.
Yeah.
But like, there's people like that. And the crazy thing is, when I first walked into like the Republican Party, well, not first, this was years later, but I remember it was when they went to the new building, and then some lady, I was talking with her, and she was like, those aren't the people you need to be talking to. She was talking about the people on the stage, and she just gave me some like unsolicited good advice.
Yeah.
She was like, those aren't the people that you need to be talking to. We are the people you need to be talking to. And, you know, and they're just sitting there watching.
Yeah.
And she's right.
Yeah.
And those are the people I've been talking to.
Oh, good.
So I hear the people saying you need to raise this much money because they want money.
Yeah. Right.
And I can't be mad at it.
Yeah.
But, you know, and the wrong thing is this isn't, this isn't like one of those communist South American countries. We're not finna purge you when we get in there. And a lot of them think that.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's gonna purge you. We just know that you're shady, or we just not fucking, excuse me, but we're just not messing with you no more. You know, well, not even that, but you have a lot of grifters on both, like all over in politics, and you have a lot of people who aren't grifters. You have a few grifters in politics, but then you have a lot of people who want to make money off politics, you know, and it's something to make money off of. So I can't blame them for that, but you're not going to make money off me. And you're not going to make money off my district. You know, you're running for District 9.
Yep.
You know, so I don't know what they're going to do in your district, but they're not going to make money in they're not going to make money off my district. You know, and so, and if you're in there, are they going to make money off your district?
Nope.
Like, so that's how this works.
Not off political bribery. No,
not off of that. You know, if anything, the people in the, like, I look at it as we have all invested in this company, right? Which is the city of San Diego. Just look at it for what it. That's some of the things I've taken from that sovereignty movement, because some of those aspects is true. We are running a entity here in San Diego, and so if we're running an entity, who's the investors? You, me, your auntie, whoever lives here and pays taxes are the investors. I work for people for a living. Somebody told me that. A nice woman, she was like, nobody wants to vote for the guy who's gonna fix the things. They want to vote for like the manager and stuff, right? And I kind of believed it, and then I was like, I don't know, because maybe mayor, but for city council, you should call me and I need to come over because I work for you,
right?
Or my staff should be there. Because we are working for you. So when I go in every house, when I'm an inspector, I go to people's houses. I ask them, what's wrong, sir? What do you know? And that's the mindset I bring to city council. I work for the people. You know, the party has their things and they want to say everything. I'm always for what the party is trying to do as far as getting the word out to other people who may potentially want to be in the party, right? But I don't work for the party.
Right.
I could have worked for you guys. You guys haven't reached out to hire me. You know, so I'm just joking. But that's the truth though. If the voters want me as District 3 city council member, they hired me. So I'm going to work for them.
Absolutely.
You see what I mean? And that's business. And that's what we need to do. We need to do more business here in San Diego. You know, and then after on the weekends, you guys want to go have speeches and stuff like that. That's cool. But when it comes to the affairs of San Diego, I'm working for people who's paying the checks. And that's Republican.
And I you
have to respect it.
I think me and you have that kind of same approach because we come from like a small business where, hey, I meet the customer has a problem. It's our job to fix it. Right. Where you have some people who don't come from that background and they're used to maybe switching the blame, you know, that it's, something's wrong. You know, it's not my fault. It's so-and-so's fault, you know, and they never take accountability. I know I noticed that in my district where, unfortunately the current, person and the current, his staff, they're always deferring to the mayor or deferring to somebody else. And that's not the job of a city council member. It's the job of saying, hey, let me take your problem on. It's our responsibility now, and we're going to work to fix it. And now tell me, District 3, for those people who don't know, what area is District 3? What are the neighborhoods in that area?
Okay, so in District 3, it starts, it doesn't start anywhere, but you have downtown, Bankers Hill. Okay, when you say downtown, you have to include Little Italy, but they're their own community. So you have downtown, Little Italy, East Village, Cortez Hill, that whole thing. You have Bankers Hill, then you have Hillcrest, Mission Hills, University Heights, North Park, South Park, and some of Mission Valley South, kind of south of Friars or Camino del Rio South. They've just recently like changed the boundaries of it, but that's pretty much in a nutshell what it is. And so in North Park, pretty much all the way to and also it's like some elements of Kensington, a little of City Heights, but it's all the way to like the 805. So, and I think little of Mid City or whatever the names they call it.
Basically once you bump up to the 805.
Pretty much all the way to the 805, all the way to the ocean, except that the Port of San Diego owns that aspect on the ocean line.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then
coastline.
You're probably District 3. I mean, every district has some level of homelessness, but District 3 is probably, specifically downtown, is probably the epicenter, is where a lot of homelessness is. What are your thoughts on it? What are your plans in terms of how should we approach it when it comes to homelessness?
Well, first we need to do create like a triage type of system to not branding or labeling or anything like that, but we have to approach these individuals in different ways. You have people who have drug issues, you have people who have mental health issues, you have people who just don't have being an American citizen issues, meaning that they don't believe that they have to abide by any of the rules, more philosophical type people, home free people. I don't need to live anywhere, whatever. That's fine. You're just not going to live here. Not on this street, not on this sidewalk right here. You're not going to live here. We have a very big county, and California is huge. If you want to be Daniel Boone, you got a lot of places you could do that. And I'm just being honest. And I could tell them that specifically. But then you also have people who have legal issues. There's some people who, can't live in certain areas because they may be sex offenders or have restraining orders or child molesters or whatever. So they kind of have to go like on the fringe elements. You have some people who have financial issues and they just can't make it, and some people are just like just need a quick help. So, but if we approach all of them like they're mentally ill, it's not going. You can't even approach the philosophical person. I met a guy today, the other day. He told me he was a more sovereign or something. He's a black brother with dreads and everything, and like he wouldn't sign the register. He philosophically thinks that he just doesn't belong to anything. I'm not going to approach him like he has a mental illness because he was saying he wasn't high, but he wasn't camped out either. But if he was, I would tell him the same thing. Well, you have to take that somewhere else. Or if you want to camp out here, right here, we're playing America right here. And you know what I mean? That's the game we're playing here. You can play that elsewhere. We're playing football here. But we are playing football here. And I look at it like, we have to understand that we have all agreed to play by these rules that we're playing by. Whether you like it or not, you were born here. We all agree, and even if you come here, you agree, just like we all agree to play on a baseball field or football field. And so when somebody runs across naked or whatever they're doing, you're interrupting what everybody has paid and agreed to come here. And we don't all agree on everything, but we've agreed of the aspect of what we're doing, and that's running a city here. So we have to approach these. So we have to, obviously come from that aspect, but we want to approach these individuals where they're at so we can help them get to where they're going. Mentally ill people, we aren't going to suggest you have to go out in the wilderness and things like that. No, something happened and we want to take care of you. You need help. Disabled people the same, old people the same, people with legal issues. Okay, you did some things wrong. I've done things wrong, not like that. But regardless, you're out now. You're American. We have to find a place where you can be, where there's no schools or whatever. we have to find that for you. But we have to discern, and we have to distinguish, like, or we have to approach these individuals from different ways.
Yeah.
And it has to come from the city.
Yeah.
Having a bunch of different programs, doing a bunch of different things is not working.
Yeah.
And so another thing is we also have to, one, triage them, like I said.
Yeah.
Create those shelter beds. So we can go by the law. We have to go by what the law is saying. If you have to have a shelter bed, we have shelter bed 1097 right here. Right. And if people don't like the way that those shelter beds are, then get involved with the city and create something. If you want them to play yoga at the beach every morning, then create that program. And we're going to make it easy for you to create that program.
Yeah.
I'm not against all these different ways of treating them. I just want them up and off the street.
Right.
So we can do business.
Yeah. If you want to play yoga on the beach,
I don't mind.
Yeah.
And I'm not anti-treatment program, all of that, but we're going to get them into these programs so that you guys can help them.
Yeah.
So we have to have the shelter. We have to triage them. We have to have the shelter beds available. We have to get and tell them that these options are available for them. And we have to put the resources in the right people's hands, which even may be consolidating all these resources, figuring out exactly what you're doing, cutting the fat. You guys both can't be driving, and then one day you don't have because he's driving, and the other day you have some. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of there's so much money going into the homelessness that the fact that we're not able to solve it with all the money coming in is an example of the mismanagement. How I'm going to kind of switch gear a little bit is to housing. I know housing is, and maybe that's a little bit about cost of living too, but any ideas or when it comes to things like housing to either make things more affordable? I mean, what's your take on that? I don't know if people bring that to you a lot. Is it even something government can do?
I'm not sure if that the last statement you said is more towards the truth. Can the government force that? I'm not sure, but I don't know why. One of the ideas I was kind of had in my mind was that the east part of California, Imperial Valley and all of that, right? They have some resources. They have the Salton Sea that people have been looking at. We are so focused nationally. What are we doing here in San Diego and in South County? As a Republican as well, a lot of those counties are Republican, right? You have a lot of those people. So there's that type of connection there. But why aren't we working with them and trying to? San Diego is growing. We're not all going to live in the city of San Diego, right? But even living somewhere, where it's probably a little cheaper, it's not Arizona. You even within the county, we have some areas that can be developed, right? How can we do that in a way that works for everybody? You see, and that's what I would want to put some pressure on some of the Republicans over that way. Hey, we need to stick together. You guys need to clean something this area needs to be developed. Let's do some development, So thinking of big projects like that, like some type of high speed rail going that way. Towards that's just really stating the obvious, which a lot of people aren't saying, is that everybody's not going to be able to live here.
Right.
And that's the sad truth.
Right.
I want to keep everybody here, but everybody's not going to be able to live here. So I can say that, right? But my first mind is solution. So how can we make it easier or even less so, or even somewhere convenient where maybe, your parents are out here. Now you live in Hamul or something, or, or even Imperial Valley, but we have a fast railway that we can invest in and get some money off of. After the people can invest in something that's going to give them money and put people to work. Why don't we have some type of high speed rail or something like that in development going that way to where we can kind of get people traveling so that, hey, I'm going to move out there. Now we're competing.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
And I agree. When you look at California on a map, there's so much area that is underdeveloped.
Exactly.
That we can develop and would ease, like I said, competition, and ease the pricing and at least slow down the high cost of living. One of the ideas too is there's people are complaining about the cost of energy here in specifically SDG&E. We have the highest cost per kilowatt. There are some movements or some that just kind of started about us as the city of San Diego being very similar to, like, so a lot of people don't know this, but like LA has LADWP, so they have their own power company. So does Sacramento, so does Imperial Valley, and because I'm in the solar business, I work with these companies, and where we're paying 44 cents a kilowatt, they're paying closer to like 22 cents a kilowatt. So there's like 50% cut.
Yeah.
And their workers are paid just the same. So it's not like they're getting cheaper labor.
But the city owns it.
The city owns
it. Instead of the CEO of Sempra or whatever making $29 million a year.
Correct.
Then the city of San Diego will make 29.
That's correct, and basically that,
not the mayor.
That's right. And in essence, it would be the homeowners in San Diego or the energy users saving money in San Diego. So we would get, we'd pay less in electric costs. Would you, without going into deal, would you be open to that idea to at least look into something like that?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I'm not SDG&E. Just like the MTS, I'm not a fan of like monopolies super close to like municipalities. I always mispronounce that. Right?
That's all right.
But I'm just not a fan of that. It's kind of like unfair. And if my understanding is, didn't San Diego build the infrastructure for SDG&E? Or?
I don't. Well, we are paying for. So what really costs a lot for our energy isn't the creation of the energy, but the delivery of the energy. So the power lines. And so that's what
maintenance of the power lines.
And the maintenance of the power lines. Now,
why do they have to like? I don't want to jump into people's business and stuff, right? Because that's their business. But why do we always have to maintain the power lines?
Right. So
they do look old school. Yeah. It's just a wire.
So and also wood. you had alluded to something too that is also the CEOs and how much millions they're making.
Yes.
And I'm not against people making money, and I'm all for, but if we can find a way to make ourselves the money, then that's where I think we can, in the form of saving money. Then I think that's a good idea to look into.
SDG&E needs to get their mailers ready about me because I haven't even yet to be, begun to get on them about it. And I'm a football player, so we get competitive and stuff like that. And I know they're doing business.
Yeah.
Right. But, I don't like the way that the people who have been running my money and your money and all of our money has done business with them. So it's not personal, but they need to get their mailers ready.
Right.
Because I haven't even yet begun to get on SDG&E and their CEO making all that money and these high prices and everything. They should get their mailers ready and they should be ready to cut my power off.
And I think the advantage of somebody like me and you is you talked about is like, we're not paid by them.
No.
So we can speak freely about it.
Exactly.
One thing too about transportation, and see if you're even open to it, is me personally, I would like at least start the process of trying to make self-driving cars a thing here in San Diego, and because we do have companies like Qualcomm, we do have some really big tech companies here.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
but see, I told you we like to take you guys' ideas. But look, I work for Bird. No, I work for Bird though, and I'm very big on Bird left. A lot of my hardcore supporters hate Bird.
Yeah.
They hated a lot of the older people out there. I hate them, and I'm like, but they like me. They love me. So it's like, I like them, and your kids like them.
Right.
Like, come on, man. Yeah. Your kids like them. So that's a generational thing, the hate for Bird. So I don't take it personal. I work with Bird. And I've had my gripes with them because I ended up going into business with them. And that's a whole nother story.
Okay.
But with that said, I love the idea of micro mobility. I started my business during COVID.
Yeah.
I got laid off by Bird.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then went into business with them.
Yeah.
And so because they couldn't they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So but they didn't want to pay us no more. So we did 1099 contracts, and I went into business with them and actually pretty much ran a scooter business like myself in the downtown area during COVID. I really believe in micro mobility.
Yeah.
I believe in self-driving cars and technology.
Yeah.
I want the party, but I want America. And I would love to see Democrats, independents, and Republicans arguing about these technological advances about AI and how we can spur that to move us forward.
Right. Absolutely.
As well as self-driving cars, technology. Yes, I would love to see things like that.
Yeah, I like the analogy because there are some generational differences. Like my parents would never jump into a self-driving car. They've never taken an Uber. That to them is like crazy talk, right? Like they're just, what do you mean you get into a stranger's car? They're crazy, So that's just, but for us, my oldest son's 24. I mean, they're even way more open to like the whole idea of self-driving cars and these different technologies. So, the analogy I like is some people want to live like they're the Flintstones, and some people want to live like we're the Jeffersons or the Jetsons. The Jetsons. Yeah. So I'm kind of
and the Jeffersons.
You're right, and the Jeffersons. Yep. So, one thing too is what got me. So before I personally ran for city council 4 years ago, I actually ran for Congress, and I wasn't initially planning to run for Congress. I kind of saw an opportunity when Susan Davis left. And so I said, you know what? I had been planning to run. I said, I just saw an opportunity. And so I said, let me put my hat in it. And, I lost really bad in the primary, but it gave me a lot of good experience. And it opened my eyes to some things in terms of what's called electoral reform. And and I saw it from the stance of an independent, a guy who didn't have a lot of money, just somebody who wanted to give back to the community and give the common person a voice in Congress, and really just in government in general, right? But I saw the how hard it is for somebody who doesn't have a big name or have a lot of money or have a party behind them to make any traction. One of the big things that I got into was something called ranked choice voting. Have you ever heard of it? Are you familiar?
No, I haven't heard of that.
I would
is it like clean elections or
no, what it has to do with is, so let's just say in your let's say in your race, my race, what would happen is, rather than picking one person, right? So rather than somebody voting for me or the incumbent, they would actually rank us in terms of why, right? Yeah. So if there's 4 candidates, 5 candidates, they would rank their top person down to their 5th.
How do they figure that out?
Great. Yeah. So it's pretty simple. What happens is, number one, if somebody gets more than 50% of the number ones, that person wins automatic. Okay. So if you are the more popular person, you get 50% of the number ones, you win right off the bat. But let's just say it's more of a 40, 30, 20, 10 type situation, right? In terms of percentages. So what they'll do is, so they'll say, the person with the most ones is right now in the lead. And then what they're going to do is they're going to take the person who's at the lowest, right? They're going to take them out of the equation, but they're going to take their number 2s and put them back, who their number 2s are, and put them back as 1s. And so that person's number 2 vote, whoever voted number 2 the most on there, they're going to go all the way back in the equation up until somebody gets at least 50% of the vote. And they'll keep doing that. And so if we don't get a winner of that, the next person is off. Their number 2 votes get placed as number 1s for whoever those
do
people
they re-vote?
Not a revote. No, it's just like basically, let's just say the last person. What they'll do is they'll take a look. Okay, this person only got 100 number 1 votes.
Yeah.
Or the people who voted number 1 for this candidate who's on the bottom. Who did they vote for as number 2s? What are their number 2s? Who did those people vote as number 2s?
Okay, yeah.
And then they're going to go back to the top. So it's kind of hard to show without a diagram. But why that's important to me, why it's important is, as a candidate, it forces me to go and talk to everybody, because what it does is I could say to somebody who's a diehard Republican or a diehard Democrat, saying, hey, look, if you're not going to vote for me because you already made up your mind about the party or about your candidate, can I get your number 2 vote? And, I like your idea. You don't align 100% because that number 2 vote can come in handy later on. Yeah. And so it forces candidates to get involved in the community more and talk to everybody, not just the people.
Where have they done it at? I like the idea, but ideas are ideas.
Sure. So New York.
Where at in New York?
The city of New York. So
they've been doing that.
They just started their last election. Okay. So which was the 2020, either 2020 or 2022 election for city count for city mayors.
Do they have any places that's done it like with any significant amount of time? Or like 10 years?
Alaska.
How long?
Seattle. Alaska? They're all pretty much within Alaska. I'd probably say 10 years, maybe 8 years. But really, where they do it the most is like New Zealand. Australia would do it for part of their.
Lost me there.
So Australia, parts are the UK.
New Zealand, Maryland?
No, New Zealand, the country New Zealand. So
nah.
Yeah. So right.
Nah.
The country New Zealand does it.
Anytime I hear another country, my antennas go up, and then I'm like, but I'm not an instant shutdown, obviously. But my antennas go up for a reason because a lot of those other countries don't have the same demographics as we do. And there's not Mexicans out there in New Zealand. There's not Black people out there in New Zealand. There's not Cambodians in New Zealand. There's not Eritreans in New Zealand. There's not, Tongans in New Zealand. Maybe.
Well, there are. So, but the thing about these countries, even though their racial makeup might be different, they have more political parties that are active, and it should. And I would say to anybody, any new idea, antennas should come up and should look into it and see if it does apply.
But I like the idea, though.
Yeah, the reason I liked it from like a person who's running that. Doesn't have a party, who isn't going to go after the big money, isn't beholden to anybody. How do we get people like that elected? Because we all can agree that probably getting money out of politics as much as possible is a good idea. And so looking for ways to kind of mitigate money in politics.
When you said that the 2s, my mind, where my mind went?
Yeah,
was that they would revote.
Oh yeah, no.
You see what I mean?
Yeah,
okay, your guy is out.
Yeah.
Now these guys.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Where it gives them a chance to be like, okay,
So,
but I know it would take time, but that's kind of where my mind went to, where it was like we're gonna like maybe give them another like a special how they have the runoffs and then they kind of go again.
Yeah, it's not like that. It's not a revote. It's a recalculation of the votes. So there's a lot of information on the internet to look into that. I'm a big proponent of it. And like I said, just from my experience of
and then the technology, and let me tell you why. Just like, let's say we're sitting there and talking and I'm representing the Republican Party and stuff. Yeah. The reason that I think when it comes to the calculation, it may have to be done. Well, I don't know how they would do the calculations, but obviously there's already problems with that.
Yeah.
Right. And people don't trust it.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side, I think it has to do with a lack of trust of technology, which comes from an older generation.
Sure.
So we have to start implementing some of these newer technologies, which is a segue, but like blockchain technologies and stuff like that we can implement that can be proven to be watched and monitored and, things like that, but does it faster.
Right. Yeah.
To where we can do some of these things where it doesn't cost so much money. Elections cost money.
Yeah.
And things like that cost money. So that's always an attack. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So like for that type of idea to even get off the ground, we have to figure out a way that we can get the technology that people can trust and doesn't cost money. But then you eliminate the excuses. Now it's like, now what's the problem?
Right,
you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And there's people who have legitimate reasons why they don't trust certain things like technology and stuff. So we can't invalidate that.
Yeah.
But I like the idea and I would like to get rid of some of the obstacles to even trying the idea to see if it works. Because everything, it's America. This is where we put ideas to put pressure on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but if we could get over those hurdles with the technology and I lost
Yeah,
myself.
that's all right. One thing I wanted to segue into, because I've noticed on social media, on your Instagram, you put a lot of different things about crime that's going on.
Yes.
What are your thoughts right now on crime? How should we approach it? What are your ideas on crime?
I want to, I guess, in the sense of talking about like things that people don't talk about, or at least like from our side of it, and just even from a political side. I just seen some kids run out of the store. It was a lot of black kids run out of the store with a bunch of stuff, and it makes us look bad, and the reasons why. And on the one hand, everybody could say, I don't care what nobody thinks. And if anybody who knows me knows, I really don't like, I'm not going to take it. I don't take things personal. The Four Agreements, right? I don't know if you've ever heard of that
I have,
book.
yes.
So I don't take anything personal, right? I try not to.
Right.
But I seen the kid, when the kids ran out, it's all black kids. I seen a family and they look, and I don't want to be discriminatory, but they look like they probably just came over here, right? But they're just sitting there watching, and I'm looking at that. And I'm like, that's the image that they probably may see of black people, and so it would, and people see that. And I go to people's houses all the time, and I deal with people, and a lot of that apprehension does come from people who haven't been in this country a long time to understand. And so it, on the one hand, it may look hypocritical for me to be like, oh, he's tough on crime, he's an ex-convict and stuff like that. But I just never grew up in that. Like when we was back then, it was a little bit different. We were a little bit more discreet.
Yeah.
But it's getting out of hand, and it looks sad.
Right.
It looks sad.
Yeah.
It doesn't look cool. You're running in there stealing a bunch of stuff because I don't have kids.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, how do their parents feel?
Right.
How do my parents feel? That's not even their kids.
Yeah.
And my own parents probably feel a type of way because those are black kids that's running out of there, man. I'm being hard on them. I know Mexican kids do it, white kids do it, and I want to be hard on all the kids, but specifically that, I just felt like I had to speak up and say something about it because it was the obvious. And it makes us all look bad as black people. I think it makes us all look bad as like San Diegans, makes us look bad as like Americans. It's just a bad look for us. And how would I stop it? Physical barriers. Physical barriers. I've been on that side of the law. I will be developing ways to stop you guys. You guys will get trapped and look stupid because it's a dumb crime. It's a low-level crime. Even on some prison stuff, we look down upon that type of thing. It's a low-level crime. All crime is bad, but that in particular, get a job. Like we have to get, and we have to have like, and there's no jobs. So that's what I want to do is bring the so I guess to get to my point is that on one, we are going to offer you a better alternative. And then if you don't take the alternative, then we're going to make it very hard on you.
Right.
And that's just all I can do. We're going to pull up and we're going to educate. And then after that, we're going to eliminate that problem. Hopefully getting some physical barriers there.
Crime is not a choice that we're going to give people.
No. We want to make it hard, but we're going to have some alternatives as well so that you guys will have we will give you the option of choosing, because I didn't really like, and I know a lot of people who probably didn't have that option. So they just was making choices, not aware of the option. But today, and with leaders who we want to put in position to educate you, if I'm coming out there and talking to you and telling you these alternatives, you finna be locked up with some of my homies up there, and they're gonna, and they know, and they're gonna tell you, and not like no bad way, but they're gonna educate you. You're gonna have a couple of years to read some of these books and learn about your history and things like that. And so it's needed, but we got to make it hard for people to do those type of crimes, but we also have to have, first of all, we have to provide alternatives to them, to give them the choice. One of my friends, a good friend of mine who was in there for a long time, and he would just say, that's his thing. He would just be like, they did it to themselves. you know, and so we're going to try to stop that from happening, especially like the mass smash and grab. But also with the officers, I would like to see more people on the ground, more officers. They probably need more undercover officers. They need more plainclothes officers. They got to get a little bit more creative with police, like with the policing and law enforcement. Like watch some TV shows. It might be fake, but get a little bit more creative with what they got going on right now. Especially with the fentanyl as well. We have to go hard on people who's selling fentanyl. You know, they got a lot of drugs that you can do now. Let's be honest. There's a lot of drugs that you can do and possibly sell. But fentanyl should not. We're gonna go hard on them. As much as I can.
I agree.
You know,
so how can people get a hold of you? I mean, what are the best ways for people to get to know you and get a hold of you?
So I'm very active on X, which is Twitter. So it's Ellis Cali Jones. And then I am on Instagram, Facebook, Nextdoor, which are you on Nextdoor?
I am on Nextdoor. Yes.
Nextdoor. You have to go hard on Nextdoor because that's where the people they live at. And so, but yeah, all social media platforms. And then you can find me online at Jones3 for district3.com. That's Jones3 for district3.com. And Ellis California Jones, you just put it in Google.
Okay.
It should pop up.
Awesome. Well, hey, Ellis, I really appreciate you coming out and, you know, I wish you the best. Hope to be calling you councilman and hopefully, you know, we'll be co-workers. We'll be working together.
Yeah, definitely. Because you'll be running my home district.
Yes.
So we need strong men like you as well in there, man. We need strong people.
I appreciate it. And anything I can do to help you with ideas or anything like that, whatever I can do, let me know. I really enjoy speaking with you, and I really enjoy you coming out and taking the time to speak with me. I'm going to share this with my audience, and you know, everybody out there, take a look at Ellis Jones. If you're looking for change and you want real change, your man's right here. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, man.
No problem.